Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's call. My name is John Paul, and I'll be your moderator for this event on veterans benefits and what the Department of Veterans Affairs is doing to ensure Michigan veterans continue to receive the benefits they have earned. In a few short minutes, we'll start taking your live questions. If you'd like to ask a question, just press *3 at any time. I'm pleased to introduce a very special guest we have on the line, Dr. Paul Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence is the Undersecretary for Benefits at the VA. He oversees almost all benefits for every veteran across the country. That includes everything from disability compensation to pensions to education benefits and home loan benefits, just a few. Pretty much any benefit you can think of outside of healthcare. Dr. Lawrence is a veteran himself. He attained the rank of captain in the Army, and he comes from a family of service members. His father was a career Army officer who served in Korea and Vietnam and is buried in Arlington Cemetery. He knows firsthand what it's like to enter into the VA system, and that's why he is working hard to make it better every single day. Dr. Lawrence, thank you first for your service, and thanks so much for doing this call today and being willing to speak openly with Michigan veterans during this very difficult time.
Thanks, JP, and thanks for everyone joining us on the phone. It was just a week ago we were celebrating Veterans Day, but here at the VA we celebrate Veterans Month, so happy Veterans Month. So I'm going to take your questions live today, so if you'd like to participate, press *3 at any time like JP said, and we'll do our best to get to you. All I ask is keep your questions brief so I can get to as many Michigan veterans as possible. I'll be talking about the benefits from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, but remember also Michigan offers its veterans benefits at the state level. You can find out more by visiting the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. They're on the web at michiganveterans.com, or you can call them at 800-MICH-VET. I like to think that between the Veterans Benefits Administration and the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, we are one team with one mission to serve our veterans. Let me explain why we're doing this and then make a request of our Michigan veterans. We're doing this for two reasons. First, we're connecting because there are new benefits and programs that we administer. We want to reach out to veterans we may have missed in the past and let them know of these. And second, and most importantly, we want to let our veterans know that VA is truly changing. We are far from perfect, but we are better today than we were a few years ago. We continue to work to become more accessible, more accountable, and more agile so we can be more responsive to the challenges our veterans face. We know that in the past, some of our procedures were an obstacle to get benefits to our veterans. That's why I'm on a personal mission with the full support of VA Secretary Wilkie and President Trump to make things better for veterans and to make things right for those of you who feel we let you down in the past. Now my request of all Michigan veterans. Please share this with your friends who are veterans or family members. Let them know we are here. We want them to give us a chance or a second chance to provide them with the benefits they've earned. Pass along the helpful information we'll share over the phone today. Encourage them to reach out and give them our toll-free number, 1-800-827-1000. We have a great team that answers these phone calls. Yesterday, they answered a little more than 30,000 calls, the average speed to answer of less than a minute. So you are our best allies ensuring we reach all those who've served. And JP, just before we go to questions, let's talk about what we're going to do in our time together.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take questions for the next hour or so. I'll give answers to our veterans or we'll take action. Our team of VBA benefits experts is listening in. I may offer to have someone call them back. It could be from us or the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, because they're on the line too, and they're happy to help serve Michigan veterans. We may need to call you back to get personal information, discuss your situation in more detail, and figure out how we get help. If our team follows up with a veteran while we're on the phone call, we'll let you know about that, demonstrating the seriousness by which we approach customer service. And every 2 or 3 calls, I'll provide some information about the Veterans Benefits Administration, important numbers or information that should help our veterans. So please have a pencil and paper ready if you want to copy that down. And by tomorrow at noontime, we'll place a copy of this session on our YouTube channel, the Veterans Benefits Administration YouTube channel, so you can hear that if you missed anything and you want to go back. So, JP, let's get to calls so I can help as many Michigan veterans today as possible.
Yes, sir. I just want to repeat some general information first. You can visit us at va.gov, that's victoralpha.gov, or call us at 1-800-827-1000 at any time to learn more about filing a claim or any other VA matters. I want to take a moment to relay the numbers for our crisis line, which is active 24/7, 365. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please call 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. Or if you prefer to text, you can text 838-255. That's text 838-255. And don't forget that at any time during this call, you can press *3 if you would like to ask a question. Going to the phones for our first caller, we have Rodney on the line. Rodney, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Rodney.
Hello, good afternoon. I hope you're doing well and being safe. Thank you for taking my call.
Great. Thanks, Rodney. How you doing and how can we help?
Good. Hey, I just had a question here. Is that towards not just Michigan, but nationally through the VA system. I'm a Native American veteran, very proud. We're the minority groups. We are by far the most when it comes to minority groups, and it's an honor for us for everything that we've done, and I appreciate everything what you're doing. But I wanted to consider when it comes to those forms of the behavioral health issues, those kinds of issues that veterans come back with the PTSD and so on. I guess what I'm trying to get to, there really needs to be a more in-depth look at providing Native Americans that cultural connections to be able to help them get back on track with this PTSD and the other issues to help them along once they've gotten onto the service, if that makes sense.
No, Rodney, I'm really glad you brought that up because on October 27th, I went out representing the department to a Navajo Nation in Window Rock, Arizona, to have this conversation exactly with their entire council, as well as other representatives from the administration, the Department of Interior, and HHS, to discuss exactly those issues. I actually had the chance to meet with the leader of Navajo Nation VA and learn about some of the things you were describing from their perspective, about the challenges applying for benefits, the difficulty they have, and then also reconnecting and some of that. So yes, Rodney, this has led me, after I came back, to re-engage our team to talk about how we are serving our Native American veterans. And the Secretary is very clear on this. He points out, and I think you were alluding to this, Rodney, that Native Americans serve in the military at a very high percentage of the population. So you're right. I got a real sense for not only as veterans what they need from the Veterans Benefits Administration, but what they do when they reconnect with their heritage, as you point out. So thank you, Rodney, for that point. I do want you to know we're on this, and I personally have had this experience just very, very recently. So thank you, Rodney. Really good point, something I haven't forgotten based on my trip. Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you for your call, Rodney. For our next caller, we have Stephen on the line. Stephen, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Stephen.
Yes. How you doing? Yeah, I'm calling. I got a couple of things. One is, back when I got out of the military back in 75, I filed a claim for disability for back injuries. Mm-hmm. And throughout the years, all I'd been told is the records I lost in the fire. And then now when I go back, I had surgery on the back and everything. Now they tell me that it's too old and they can't find no information on it. That's one problem. The other problem is I had double bypass done in February 2016, or January or October 2016. Within the first couple of days, I was complaining that there was problems. Well, they kept telling me it's normal. So running around to the present date, and last year in November, they finally did a CAT scan. It took them 3 years to decide to do something, and they found some wires that were broken. I had a surgery on February 14th to correct the problem. When they opened me back up, they said 5 of the wires that were holding my chest together broke, and 2 of them were loose. They redid the surgery in February, and now I'm having even more problems. Now they're telling me that they have to redo another surgery on me. And even the doctors, too, they apologized to me saying, sorry, Steve, we should have took care of this problem 4 years ago. You probably wouldn't have been in the problems you're having now. Well, now they want to reduce surgery, take everything out, open me back up, and do another surgery that's not guaranteed. Well, I talked to a veteran advocate. We end up going to, I had to call 1-800, and I talked to the, I guess the attorney over there. And this was back about 5 months ago. I finally got a letter from them saying that although we're not dismissing your claim, we're not responsible for your surgery. The doctors that did your surgery was U of M Hospital, and the doctors that did the U of M Hospital was responsible for correcting and for any damages or anything like that. I'm just being put through another runaround like I did 45 years ago, and I don't know what to do. It seems like VA just they want us to fight, but when we come home, they don't want to take care of us.
Okay, Steve, so let's figure out how we can help. I'm really sorry to hear about what's going on, so let's kind of pull this apart in two ways, okay? So first, I want you to know that one of our team is going to call you, and we might enlist somebody. The Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency might end up calling you, too, just to make sure we can connect with you at a state level, okay? So let's start with your first thing. We'll look in on, we call you, we'll try to understand what took place in your original claim with us in 75 for your back injury. It was a long time ago, and we've made a lot of changes since then, Steve, so I don't know what took place and won't be able to change that, but we can figure out what's going on now, okay? We'll look in on that and see what's taking place. The other thing I'll ask them to do is to better understand your health situation, and what I think you know that the VA's hospitals are run by what's called the Veterans Health Administration. So we'll figure out what we can do to connect with them to check in on your health care. And then we'll ask somebody to check in on your situation in terms of what benefits are available. I don't know enough about cause and effect with your surgery to say if that entitles you to file a claim or not. But let us figure out how we can help you, Steve. I'm really sorry that the situation's kind of played its way out there. I understand why you feel that way, your perception of what's going on, but let us see if we can't figure this one out, try to get to the bottom of this and see what makes sense given where you are and what's going forward. So we're here. We're going to reach out to you. We're going to get our team on this. It might take us a little while to dig in this on this one, Steve, and figure it out. So give us a chance. I'm glad we connected, Steve. We'll figure this one out, see what's possible. We'll call you, start pulling this apart, and see what the path forward is. So thank you.
Thank you for your call, Stephen. For our next caller, we have Kevin on the line. Kevin, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello. This situation may be a little different than what most people call you about. I have a disability, but I'm in the Michigan National Guard.
Uh-huh.
And I know they do that reconciliation every year to where you have to pay back the money for the time that you were actually getting paid for your guard duty. But
right.
I went on a OT, one-time occasional tour, a little over a year ago, and I contacted the VA and said I need to stop all of my disability payments because I'm on active duty. I talked to the person. They filled out some paperwork. I faxed in my orders to prove it, but they never stopped sending me my disability. Now, it was still minus whatever offset it was for my previous year's worth of active duty or of National Guard pay. But a few months ago, I was talking to somebody from the VA on phone, and because I called them and said, look, I really need this to stop because I don't want you guys to be paying me because I know you're going to recoup all this money back from me because I shouldn't be getting it right now while I'm on active duty. They did some other paperwork and said, yep, we're all set. You're not a problem now. They'll stop paying you. Well, what happened was the only difference I saw was they stopped taking out the offset for the money that I owed them from previous year, training year, to where now I'm getting my full disability check. So I have a bank load of money or a bank account that's full of a bunch of money that is just sitting there waiting to go back to the VA, and I need to have you guys stop paying me so I can get this reconciled and not owe you guys any money because I know you're going to come back after it.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I'm so glad you called, and I'm so disappointed to hear this is happening to you. This is exactly the situation we try to prevent, and your behavior is exactly what we want people to do, which is let us know. I do not understand why our guys didn't stop this the way you're doing. Nothing upsets me more than when we have to go back and do the reconciliation you're talking about, because when folks drill or they go on active duty and they haven't saved the money. So we're really trying to get folks to do exactly what you're describing. So, Kevin, I want to dig in on this and understand what's going on. I'm going to have one of our guys call you to get some information, and I'm going to dig in on this too, because this is really a good thing you were describing doing, and I don't understand how it didn't come to pass that we stopped it. So I'm very glad to hear you're saving the money. Really appreciate that. Appreciate your patience with us. I'm glad we connected. I'll have someone call to get some information, and I'm going to put this on my list of I'm going to run down how this happened. What about our procedures is not syncing with what you were trying to do, because it's something that gets us all in a better situation. So thank you, Kevin, for your patience. We'll reach out to you. We'll figure this one out. We'll get this stopped, and quite frankly, I'll make sure our team reconciles this so whatever we end up having to collect back, aligns with your record keeping too, so we're all in a good place. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you for your patience. Sorry I'm going to have to go through this with you, so thank you.
Thank you for your time, Kevin. Help is on the way. And, sir, before we get back to more calls, do you have a benefits update for our audience?
Yeah, ironically, it's something connected to what Kevin said around debt. So Kevin indicated that, you'll establish a debt with me to get money back that you've been overpaid. And so during this period of time, if our veterans want to stop their debt payments to us because of the pandemic and the situation, they can do that. We can give them debt relief. We can suspend the payments. You can renegotiate with us on the payments. Now, we can't waive them forever, but during this period of time, if you want to stop or change your debt payments, you can do that by calling our Debt Management Center. Let me give you this number twice. It's 800-827-0648. Again, rearrange, stop, but not totally waive your debt payments to VA. 800-827-0648.
That's a great piece of information for our audience, sir. Going back to the phones, we have Kelly on the line. Kelly, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Kelly.
Hello?
Hello, Kelly. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm calling because I filed for PTSD under MST, military sexual trauma, on September 17th of 2019. I have yet to receive a call for any type of, the evaluation thing. I was in the Army, active duty. I did 1 year Texas National Guard, and I did 3 years Air Force Reserves. This happened when I was active duty in Fort Hood in 1984. I have gave all of my civilian records. They have all my Air Force records, all my National Guard records, and they're saying that the only records they cannot get to for whatever reason are the records from in the 1984 and 1985 at Fort Hood, which is when this incident occurred. So my I have a couple questions. First of all, I have a VA advocate who has helped me, and then somehow during COVID shifting of jobs, I now have this other person through an American Legion that is trying to find out why nobody is calling me or getting back with me. And he called me about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago and said that they are supposedly processing my claim, and they were apologizing up and down because when a person applies for PTSD under military sexual trauma, according to this person who told me that it's supposed to be handled in a certain way and it's supposed to be expedited as quickly as possible, often within 6 months, having an answer. This is well over a year, and, I know COVID's going on. I'm disabled through the state already. I'm a retired teacher. I'm physically disabled because I have 2 illnesses. So I had applied 5 months before COVID even started. And the only thing they had to do was get my records from active duty Army. And why that is the only thing that has been holding us up for a year and 2 months, and they still don't have it. The guy said, oh, they're going to be calling you like any day because they realized they have messed up on some type of time limit, and they didn't have me categorized right under the PTSD. I don't know all the rules, I'm just saying
Kelly.
what they said.
Yeah, Kelly. So, Kelly, I am glad we connected, and I apologize for whatever's happening, okay? I'm going to look in on this, so we're going to figure out what's going on. I understand your frustration. It does seem like a long amount of time, and I don't know whether, we're missing some records or not, but something isn't happening right. But I want you to know, Kelly, as soon as you hang down, we're going to have one of our MST counselors give you a call. We're going to check in on you and figure out what's going on with your claim. I do want you to know, Kelly, that really appreciate you coming forward. Again, I'm sorry for this, but when you talk about being an MST survivor on a phone call like this, you demonstrate a great deal of moral courage, and also you open the door for other folks, men and women, to understand we're here for them, okay? What's different now is we have military sexual trauma counselors, and that's who will be calling you to better understand what's going on, and we'll try to figure out what's taken place. I'm not so certain the Legion folks are giving you the exact story, but we'll figure it out, and we'll see what's going on. We'll figure out how we can get you help and move your claim along. And also, quite frankly, Kelly, I'm worried about your safety. Okay, so we'll check in on your situation and see if you need access to VA health care and the like, so we can make sure this gets to be as good as possible going forward as it can possibly be. So thank you, Kelly. I'm glad we connected. As soon as you hang down, someone from our team will be calling you. We'll figure out, what the path forward is, why this is taking so long, what's really needed, and what we can do to move this along. So thank you, Kelly. Again, really appreciate you stepping forward and letting others know about the situation so we can talk about the changes we're doing to handle our MST survivors.
Thank you for your call, Kelly. We truly appreciate your time. Going to our next caller, we have Michael on the line. Michael, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Michael.
Hello. This is Michael, and I was I served in the Navy back in 1972 and everything. After, while I was in the service, I had to have a surgery done on my ear for a perforated tympanic membrane, or a hole in my eardrum. After I got out of the service, of course, I didn't apply for any disabilities in any way, but decades later, I wound up with hepatitis C, which is a bloodborne disease, and the only place that I could have gotten that is while I was in the service. And so I eventually applied for benefits for the hepatitis C and other issues that came from that, the cirrhosis of liver, et cetera, and I applied for my benefits for my hearing loss. And of course, through the VA, they took forever, and then finally denied everything, and I went back and redid it, saying that this is what's happening, and and after doing this several times, the Detroit office stated that they sent me a letter, a 60-day reply letter that I never received. And so once I didn't receive it, and when I put the paperwork in before this 60-day thing, I requested a face-to-face with a rep. And So I thought I was going to be getting the face-to-face with the rep, and I never received it. When they stated that they sent me a 60-day notice that they did not get a reply from, they refused to do anything else on my case whatsoever. And I'd like to find out what can be done about it. I was told several months after that seeing how I requested a face-to-face, they have to give me the face-to-face before everything can be denied.
Sure,
and I still have not heard anything from it.
Yeah, okay, Michael. So let's figure out how we can help. I'm sorry to hear about what took place. I understand, I'm sorry to hear when you said it took forever. Sounds like you're describing a period of time a little while ago. We've really upped our game in terms of processing. It generally happens, in less than 125 days now. So, but it sounds like you went back and forth and you appealed. Letters got lost or misplaced or whatever. We need to figure out how to get you going. So you're right. I want to look in on this as well, Michael, because I don't understand what took place, and we need to get behind this. So here's what we'll do. We'll give you a call, and we'll figure out what's going on and who can help you going forward, okay? So we may enlist our colleagues from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. They have service officers that can help Michigan veterans go through the process, and it sounds like that's maybe what you need. In addition, I want our guys to look in, our team to look in on the status of this. If you have an appeal, what the problem was, what the situation is, and see, what the history on this is so we can better understand what took place and why. But I'm glad we connected, Michael. Hang in there. We'll connect with you. We'll figure out what's going on. We'll see if we can get you some help processing claim or an appeal or another claim again, and we'll figure out how we get this going in the right direction for you, Michael. So thank you very much, Michael. Again, apologize for the runaround. Let's figure out how we make this right.
Thank you for your call, Michael. For our next caller, we have Calvin on the line. Calvin, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Calvin. How you doing?
Okay, I'm alive and moving.
That's great. How can we help?
Well, when I first filed, it took years to get everything together, and the first thing they awarded me was my hearing, 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of years later, I had a knee replaced. I got both legs damaged while I was in the service. I have hospital records and everything on that. And I was on an aircraft carrier, and I spent over 2.5 years on the flight deck in the bow of the ship, Fly 1, is what we were called.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in D1. And so after I got each knee replaced, and then probably 3 or 4 months into after I had the second knee, I found out that I owed them $6,700, it said, for back pay. So I paid the $6,700. And then the next thing I find out, I should have been at 70% because I went to the hospital up there and got my paperwork, and they said, well, we got you down at 70%, and they processed me at 70%. Then I get a letter saying that I'm at 60%, 30% for each knee, and the 10% had been taken away from me. And what has been explained to me a couple of times that I didn't understand just recently, that they take so much away from you out of each thing, and it added up to 10%. And I'm trying to figure out why. I not at 100% or anything like that. It's 70% is what I'm supposed to be, but what I think I'm supposed to be, but I'm at 60%, and I just didn't understand it. I went in to talk to them about it. First time I went in, I asked them about it, and they said, well, you've got paperwork on that. I said, I didn't get any paperwork. And they asked me, said, what's your address? And I told them, they said, well, that's not what's down here. I said, no, for the last 9 years, it's been this. My address has been the same, and it's always been the same because I live in the same house. And they had given me an address that was up north, and I'd never been there before. And the last time I was in, I got all my paperwork together, and I wanted to find out what the problem was. Can you explain to me how come everything was taken away from me on that part of it? And the guy looked at me, and he said, you ought to be satisfied with what you got. And it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, but Calvin. Yeah, Calvin. The story is actually upsetting me too. okay? So we got to figure this one out, and see how we can help. So a couple things, Calvin. So first, we're going to have someone call you so we can get the information behind this and figure out the puts and takes, right? Your rating changing or not changing, you having a debt, that's all, what you're describing is inconsistent with my understanding of our procedures, okay? But regardless of that, we should be able to explain this to you, and I'm sorry to hear somebody respond to you so unprofessionally. You should be happy with that. That's not the right answer. The right answer is our veterans get the benefits they've earned and deserve, not what somebody says to you like that, okay? Okay, Calvin, so we got to get behind this. I'll have our team give you a call. We're going to look in on this. We're going to figure this one out, see what's taking place and why, and reconcile what's going on in terms of debts and the like, and being able to figure this one out. I'm going to put this on my list, Calvin. It's something I'm going to check in after our team does our homework with you and does that. So thank you for connecting, Calvin. We'll dig into this. Might take more than a little bit to get this done, but we'll figure this one out and see what the path going forward is.
And just a quick note for our audience, if you missed the top of the call, you're on the line with Undersecretary for Benefits, Dr. Paul Lawrence, and you can press *3 if you would like to ask a question. And, sir, we're going to go back to the phones now, and for our next caller, we have Arthur on the line. Arthur, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Arthur.
Hello. How you doing, Dr. Moore?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
Hold on one second. I'm sure you're able to hear me. Like most of the people on the phone, when we come out of the service, most things we're told when we go in, say, you know what, the first thing you are, your government property, and make sure you turn in all your equipment because the government was going to take your money. Now, on the hindsight of that, like most people on the phone, I'm a veteran. I'm a Desert Storm. Things that occurred while I served. They gave us a battery of shots before going to Desert Storm. It was a case where it put me and the Sergeant Major in my company in the hospital for 6 weeks. My Sergeant Major is actually, he actually has his benefits, and he's actually topped out 3 times. I didn't even know that I could apply. One thing I would like to thrust at you is, the government and the military branches are very good about telling you what you owe when you leave or prior to leaving. I think we should be ahead of the curve and not be here. Why don't they tell us what we deserve before we leave so we don't have to scramble?
Sure, Arthur.
To say will. And there was one other thing also, if you don't mind.
Sure.
In the processing at the VA. Now, there's supposed to be a team of doctors, the VA doctor, your doctor, an outside doctor, and then one that is supposed to review all 3. How come the VA can select out of 4 doctors the same doctor 3 times? I was also in after leaving Desert Storm. They sent us to the Philippines. I was in Subic Bay. We were 7 miles from the base of Mount Pinatubo when it was erupted. We got hit with a battery of earthquakes, volcanoes, and the volcanic ash, and I'm quite sure you can look up the documentation on that. And they say the toxic settling from those things, even as I've watched over the years, they talk about how volcanoes reset ecosystems, kill off animal and plant life. And then when I go to the VA and I have a VA doctor tell me that no, your respiratory issues, which I've never had any, and your PTSD were caused from growing up in the city of Detroit. Well, I haven't seen any volcanoes behind the Renaissance Center or on Belle Isle yet.
Okay,
and I find it very disheartening that the same doctor can review and say that her opinion is valid above the other opinions of the other doctors, giving her opinion credence.
Sure, Arthur.
To deny members of.
Yeah, I understand your point, Arthur. It sounds like we need to help you, okay? And we're going to help you, okay? So I'm going to have one of our team give you a call.
Nothing for me or my family. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. It sounds like we need to give you some help. Okay. So Arthur, I understand your situation. So I got you were describing broadly some things. So let's think about 2 things here. First thing is we're going to have someone reach out and figure out what's going on with your claim, what's taken place, what the situation is, and what you were describing about the battery of doctors. That's a little confusing to me based on my understanding some of the things. But Desert Storm was a while ago, and there have been some changes. So you talk about, how comes nobody's aware or you were not aware of what was going to take place with benefits. that has been one of the big changes that has taken place within the last 10 years or so. We started two things, and I know it's too late for you, but I do want our other veterans to know what's called the Transition Assistance Program, which is 40 hours of training in the last 6 months of our veterans' service where they learn about benefits and health care and all the resources available. That is something that was developed based on feedback from people like you talking about that. We also started something called Benefits Delivery at Discharge, where in your last 6 months you can apply for benefits so that theoretically on the first day you become a veteran, you have benefits as you're eligible. So those things don't affect you, Arthur, and I'm sorry about that, but I do want someone to call and see if we can't figure out what's going on in your situation and how we can help. But I do want you to know there has been a world of change based on, the feedback you were kind of alluding to. So thank you, Arthur. We'll get in touch with you. We'll figure out how to help you. We'll see if we need to enlist our colleagues from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. They have service officers who may be able to help as well, Arthur. So thank you very much.
Truly appreciate your time, Arthur. And, sir, I understand that you have an update from our response team.
That's right, JP. At the beginning of the phone call, I talked about from time to time, I'll let you know if our response team has, in fact, interacted with our veterans. We have. We interacted with 4 folks. Remember Rodney at the beginning, a Native American, asking about it, spoke to him and getting him assistance with resources. Kevin talked to him about ensuring his record is correct. Kelly recalled she was an MST claim, so we promised an MST counselor would call her. She's being spoken to. And Michael needed some assistance with his claim, so we're speaking with them. So I do want folks to know our team is on the line. We're also aided by colleagues from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, so we really do want to understand what's going on and figure out what's taking place. So thank you.
And it's great to know that our response team is making on-the-spot follow-ups. And for our next caller, we have Aaron on the line. Aaron, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Aaron. How you doing?
What's up? I'm okay, Doc. How are you?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
Well, I was just like the last gentleman. I'm from Detroit, and I was in the U.S. Navy, and I also served during the first Gulf War, and I was also in the Philippines when the volcanoes was erupting and everything else. I got out the Navy in 92 on the OTH, and I've been trying to upgrade for the last 30 years, and I haven't had any help. I tried to go through a Legion to get an upgrade for my discharge, and there hasn't been anything that's been helping me out. I've also had injuries when I was in the Navy, and like the young man said, when the volcano was erupting, we was over there. I was served on the USS Proteus, AS-19. There was a supply ship, and I was also over there and suffered some things. But once I got out, it seems as though it was too hard and difficult for me to get any help, to where it is that I've been going through all of this, and you guys called me today, and I'm joining in on this conference, and I'm trying to figure out what it is that we can do, because I'm also here in Michigan needing some help for the last 30 years. So,
okay, Aaron, so let's talk about how we're going to help, okay? So I'm glad we connected, and we are going to help, okay? I'm going to have one of our team give you a phone call, and we're going to work through your situation. So let me explain some of the things they'll talk to you about, right? You get your discharge from the Department of Defense, and there's a process where you can change or petition to have your discharge changed. We'll explain that to you. That is potentially a complicated process, so I don't want to minimize that. But what's different now than maybe the first time you interacted with us is there's something we can do at the VA called Character of Discharge, which seeks to understand what happened and can potentially open an avenue for benefits for you. So I'll ask our team to explain that to you to see if you can't qualify for some of the options under that, which potentially could open you up to have access to benefits, Aaron. So I'm sorry about what happened in your journey. Things were different until some of these things kind of came forward. I know it was difficult and harder back in 92, the inability of technology to do this. It was probably all done by letters or something like that, as well as this Character of Discharge feature, which is new. So we'll have our team explain that to you and see if we can't figure out what's possible in terms of your eligibility for benefits. And with that then, we will then figure out what benefits would be relevant to your situation. So it's a two-step thing, Aaron, that we will work with you on, and we may enlist our colleagues from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency on this as well. First, we'll figure out what's going on with your discharge and if you would be eligible for a character of discharge review. Then we'll figure out what your benefit situation is, and we'll help you going forward. So again, Aaron, can't promise outcomes, but I understand the processes we can use to see what's relevant. So we'll have our team call you. Please take our phone call. Let us figure this one out. It won't be done in one phone call, Aaron, but we can work with you, or our colleagues from Michigan work with you, MVAA can work with you, and we'll figure this one out, Aaron. So give us a chance to kind of get this going, see what's going on in your situation, and how we might be able to get you benefits in health care. So thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for the call, Aaron. For our next caller, we have Mark on the line. Mark, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Mark.
Hello,
Mark. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had a question. I always hesitated doing it, and then they finally talked me into applying for disability under Agent Orange and then conditional diabetes.
Uh-huh.
And I had talked to the Veteran Services office. I think this is the number, actually, that I called, 827-1000, something like that.
Right.
But anyway, they sent me all the paperwork, and they told me to find somebody to help me make out the paperwork. Well, I can't seem to find anybody to help me, number one. And number two, what was I going to say here? Oh, well, anyway, go ahead.
Sure, Mark. Well, let's figure out how we can get somebody to help you, okay? Listening in on this phone call are colleagues from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, and they're here to figure out how they can help Michigan veterans. So we'll enlist their help to give you a call to figure out how they can help you. They have service officers that support Michigan veterans, and they do this at no cost to our veterans. So I'm glad you're learning about benefits, and I want to encourage you to feel comfortable applying for benefits, even though it's a little bit later than you imagined, or other veterans coming forward. These are benefits you've earned by virtue of your service. So we, administer the benefits our veterans that have earned and deserve. These are not entitlements, and you are not taking anything away from other veterans. Congress is very generous in how they fund veterans' benefits, so that it's a sum of money that equals the needs of our veterans. So I want you to understand that. But I'm glad you have this question, Mark. So we'll get somebody from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency to give you a call and help you through that. But broadly, the answer to other veterans is, how do I get help, is you can go online at va.gov and apply for benefits. If you're less comfortable doing that, you can reach out to the State Department of Veterans Affairs, in this case, the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, or if you're more comfortable, if you're a member of a veteran service organization like the American Legion, like the VFW, like Disabled American Veterans, or even the Vietnam Veterans of America, they have service officers that assist, again, at no charge. So there are ways to help. We understand the process is complicated. We'd ask for some understanding. It's a function of the laws and the regulations that govern what we do. It's not so much our choice. It's just kind of how it works. So thank you, Mark. I'm glad we connected. And if you do remember your second question, I know our colleagues from MVAA will be able to help you. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you for your call, Mark. For our next caller, we have Frank on the line. Frank, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Frank.
Yeah, hi. The problem that I'm a veteran of Vietnam under Agent Orange, and I was told to go down to McNamara building to put in for a disability claim. They closed down back in March because of the COVID. Then they told me, well, go down to the VA hospital in Detroit, which I did, and they had people there to help you. When I went in there, they were all closed, but they had phone numbers that you could call. And I called a couple different times, left messages. Nobody's called me back. That was a couple of weeks ago. I'd like to know who I can talk to put in a claim.
All right, well, you're talking to them, Frank, and we're going to figure out how you can help, okay? But I also, when they call you, I want you to tell us what number you were calling, because I'm not so certain they gave you the right information in your journey. So I'm glad you haven't gotten too frustrated, Frank. So let's figure out how we're going to help. We're going to have one of our team or somebody from the MVAA give you a call and get you some assistance in filing a claim. So that's how you can do it. You could also do it online at va.gov, but it sounds like your preference would be having somebody help you. So we'll give you a call, we'll figure out who can help you, and they will work with you to file a claim, and they can probably help you through the process as well in terms of understanding some information. So they'll explain the process to you, they'll work with you, and we'll try to get you benefits. So thank you, Frank, for your persistence. You know, you're right, it's a little bit different during the pandemic, but there are ways for us to help our veterans file for benefits and get their claim going. So thank you, Frank.
Thank you for your time, Frank. We appreciate your call. Going to our next caller, we have Daryl on the line. Daryl, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Daryl.
Hey, Doc, how are you?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
You know, I'm a retired Master Chief from the United States Navy, and I'm actually kind of screwed up. Nobody from the VA has ever contacted me after I was given my 30% disability, and I actually think my disability is probably close to about 70%.
Uh-huh.
Nobody wants to talk to me. When I went to the VA the last time, which is the only time I went there, they basically told me to go away.
Well, Daryl, I'm sorry to hear about that. Daryl. Here's what we're going to do, because you're talking to somebody from the VA now. We're going to call you back, so you have yet another person. Another person to talk to you, and we're going to figure out what's going on. Okay, and we're going to figure out, if you're eligible for a claim increase, and we'll get someone to work with you on that. We'll also talk to you about some of the other benefits that you might be interested in that might be available to you, and see what makes sense for what your situation is and what makes sense. So we're going to have somebody call you. We're going to work through the process with you of applying for an increase and making you aware of other benefits you might be eligible for. But I do want you to know, Daryl, your point about when you got out of you became a veteran, no one ever called you. There has been a big change in the last year based on a lot of feedback and a lot of thinking about the transition. We have a new program called Solid Start, where we at the Veterans Benefits Administration run this program for Broad VA, where we call our new veterans 3 times in the first year to answer questions about whatever questions they have. Generally, it's about questions about their benefits and health care, and we follow up with resources often in an email. This was originally started thinking about folks who had mental health concerns, so we do prioritize folks who've been in the service the last year, had a mental health appointment, but we are making phone calls, Daryl, to do exactly what, obviously didn't happen for you. But that being said, we'll follow up with you, and we'll figure out what's going on and how we can help you.
Thank you for your time, Daryl. We appreciate your call. For our next caller, we have Pierre on the line. Pierre, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Pierre.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Lawrence. I'm having a problem with the VA. They keep telling me because I was in Agent Orange, I have to have cancer, I have to have this. I did 4 tours in the Blue Water Navy and Brown Water Navy in Vietnam, and then I got asbestos in my lungs probably in 1990, but the doctor that was looking asked me how many packs of cigarettes I smoke. It was a civilian doctor. I didn't find out that I do have asbestos till 2014 when GM had a group of doctors come up here and x-ray my lungs and gave it to a B-reader radiologist. And I've got a navigator working on this thing, and when we went to the ESO, service officer or whatever you call them, they pretty much blew us off. And, they says you have to have, and then I've been denied twice on my hearing loss from in Adrian, and the service officer was out of Ann Arbor at the Ann Arbor Hospital. So, and I'd like that number that he gave. It ended up with 1,000 at the end, but I didn't catch the middle numbers.
Sure, Pierre. Okay,
yeah.
So Pierre, I'll give you the number here in a second, but I'd like to have one of our team give you a call and maybe enlist somebody from the MVAA to help you with this. a couple of things are going on. So let me explain them, and then we'll figure out. But we're going to call. So the bottom line is, Pierre, we're going to call. We're going to help you, so you don't have to call the 1-800-827-1000 number, okay? But let me explain a couple of things. So one is, if you applied in 2014 and you were in the blue water, you were in the Navy, Agent Orange benefits did not extend then on what's called a presumptive. If you were there and you had the conditions, you got benefits in health care. That changed in 2019 with a new law that began in 2020. So that could explain some of the difference. In addition, regardless of where you were, if you have conditions that affected you, you can apply for benefits at any time, but demonstrate that they were a function of your military service. So it sounds like, Pierre, you're kind of caught in the middle there. That being said, we're going to reach out to you. We're going to figure out what's going on, because we have spent all of this year trying to get benefits in health care to our Blue Water Navy veterans who have certain conditions. So we'll explain those to you. We'll check your situation, see what's relevant, and then figure out how you apply for benefits and what's going on with your situation. Did it change because of the law? Did it change because of your health? I just don't know, Pierre, but give us a chance to get in touch with you and figure out what your situation is and what the most logical steps going forward are. So thank you, Pierre.
Thank you for your call, Pierre. For our next caller, we have Judy on the line. Judy, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Dr. Lawrence. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
So both myself and my husband are veterans. My husband joined the Navy in '76, got off of active duty in '89, and while I was in Desert Storm, stationed overseas, he joined the reserves and stayed in the reserves from '89 until '97. We got transferred to Guam. That's where I retired from the Navy. My husband was with me, and we went back. We went overseas to Australia, got back to America in 2018. At that time, my husband put in a intent to file for his hearing loss while he was on active duty, because he was in the engineering department. And he can't even hear a smoke alarm in the house. Anyway, they put in the paperwork in 2018 with the intent. 2019, they said they were having problems trying to get hold of his records. They finally sent a letter and said they had some records and sent him for a CMP exam, which he went to in July. The VA has had the results of that now since the 13th of July, but nothing's happened. So we called the other day, well, a couple of weeks ago, to the 800 number to find out why we're not hearing anything. And we were told by them that the VA had sent off for my husband's records over 14 times and with no response. And until they get a response, they're not going to complete this application. And I guess what we want to know is how many times do they have to send off for records?
Yeah, Judy.
When do we call it quits?
Yeah, Judy, I'm really glad you called. I'm particularly frustrated by the answer you got and what you were told, and we got to look in on this. That's not acceptable answer. I got to figure this one out, Judy, and understand what's taking place. Plus, I want to know what records are we having so much trouble finding. So, Judy, I'm going to have to get some more information. Don't give anything over the phone. I'm going to have one of our folks give you a call, better understand what's going on. You obviously kept good records. We'll get some information. We'll look in on your husband's file and see what's taking place. If he's been to the CNP exam, based on the way you methodically described it, it wouldn't surprise me if you had all the records, and we could figure this one out and see what's possible, Judy. So I'm really glad we connected, Judy. I'll ask our folks to look in on this, see what's needed, may enlist help folks from the MVAA if necessary, but it sounds like this one's on us. And I'll look in on this, too, to try to figure out what took place and why, so this doesn't happen to other veterans. So, Judy, I'm really glad you connected with us. Thank you. Have a little more patience while we figure this one out, and we'll see what's possible.
Thank you for your time, Judy. For our next caller, we have Mark on the line. Mark, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Mark.
Good afternoon, Doctor and fellow veterans. This is an outstanding program, and first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout-out to the Ann Arbor VA Hospital. I've been to about a dozen of them throughout the country. It is the finest facility, bar none.
Well, that's so great to hear, Mark. I'll be sure and tell our colleagues in the Veterans Health Administration about your positive feedback. Do you have a question or something we can help you with?
Yes, Michigan does not recognize, I guess you would call it common law marriage, so we are getting married here shortly. And I needed to find out what paperwork I needed to file for that. And my second question is, real quickly, I used the GI Bill back in the 90s when I first got out of the military, and I'm wondering, is there any possibility of getting some additional schooling if I was so desired it?
Sure. So, Mark, a couple things. So, yes, we'll have our folks give you a call to make sure we understand what we call your life situation, right? You got married, kids, divorced, kids no longer your dependents. That's very, very important stuff, so we get you the right benefits, okay? So our folks will call you, and we can talk about making sure we have all the information, even if it's a pending marriage, and what you do to let us know about. Based on what you just said, I'll also ask them to look in on your education situation. Based on what you said, I'm guessing your eligibility for the GI Bill has passed. However, if you are service-connected, and it sounds like you are, there's another benefit offered to our veterans. It used to be called vocational rehabilitation and employment. Now we call it Veterans Readiness Employment, and it offers customized training and retooling for our veterans based on their situation. So there is a bit of qualifying to make sure what they want to pursue is appropriate for their situation, and then that is one way we're telling folks in this time of the world where they can get additional training. We've had veterans take advantage of this who had their own business. With the pandemic, the business is closed, and they realize they're not going to be able to do that anymore, so they get training and reskilled. They've had folks who've been in large corporations where their job has been terminated, so they've come in at an older age, a more senior status, and use the program too. So, Mark, that sounds like the one I'll ask our folks to talk to you about. So thank you for calling, Mark. Thank you for being aware of your life situation and how it affects. And again, appreciate your kind words for our folks who run the Ann Arbor Veterans VAMC. We'll be sure and tell our colleagues at the Veterans Health Administration about your positive feedback.
And, sir, that was our last question. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Whoa, JP, the hour went by really, really fast. So special thanks to everybody who called in, and special thanks to those who asked questions. Recall we said we had our response team on the phone, and midway through I told you about 4 folks we've already dealt with. We've already followed up with 2 others. Arthur was frustrated in terms of, getting his benefits and the like, and so we're talking to him, trying to get him some claims assistance. And Aaron was just on a little bit about upgrading his rating, so we're working with him as well, and we'll probably have our colleagues from MVAA help us with some of these. So we do want you to know that, we do follow up as promised, and we appreciate the questions because they guide us, and me in particular as the leader, about, what things our veterans need from us at the VA, what the VBA, what things we can do better, what other things we can do in terms of communication. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for calling in and giving us the opportunity to solve your problem, quite frankly, resolve your problem and re-earn your trust. We also really want to thank our colleagues at the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. They've had folks on the line listening, and we know they're already following up. Really appreciate the leadership of Zanetta Adams, the director of MVAA, and one of her top folks, or top lieutenants, the partnership coordinator, Ryan Engel, who works closely with us as we set these up and follow through. So I look forward once again to, we've seen them before when they've been here. We can't wait to get out there when we can all travel again, be in their office and see what it's like up close and personal. So JP, I know you're going to give our social media sites here in a minute so folks can follow us. I do social media. I'm on LinkedIn as my name, Paul Lawrence. I try to post important items about VBA and information for our veterans. You're welcome to connect with me to see this information. And every Friday at noontime, I post a short video called News You Can Use from VBA in Less Than 10 Minutes. So thanks for everyone who joined and participated. Thanks for the folks who asked questions. If we promise we're going to follow up, we will shortly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I just want to remind everyone how you can get more information on any VA program. You can visit us at va.gov, that's victoralpha.gov, or call us at 1-800-827-1000. A recording of this event will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow by noontime. To follow us on YouTube and Facebook, search Veterans Benefits Administration, on Twitter at VA Vet Benefits, and on Instagram, VA Benefits. This concludes our Tele-Town Hall for Michigan. A big thank you to all the veterans and family members that called in. Good night.